Okay guys, so we have done some updates into Local Biz Alpha Xtreme. Now before we go further, let me apologize for the delay in doing this video because we had some of these updates in here about 3 or 4 weeks ago, okay? I asked for an extra couple of features that I presumed would take only 2 or 3 days because we already had the code for that in another software, and here we are 3 or 4 weeks later, it's just got delivered to me. So I didn't want to do this video until we had that so that we could do an overall sort of overview of what's been added. Okay, so what we're going to cover in this video is the new diagnostics tool, what it is and what it does. Okay, the image and video insertion, which is what I've been waiting for. We have that in the WordPress Traffic Scout plugin, and it's really important that we've got it in here now, and I'll explain why when we're talking about the API costs. Okay, the listing settings I want to talk about in this video so that we can reduce those API costs. And also for hosting for WordPress Alpha and for hosting your Local Biz Alpha sites with WordPress Alpha, we are on track to add Bluehost for this weekend coming up. Okay, but I've been told that before with the Contabo and some other things, so we just have to wait until it's actually there. But I did ask a few times last night and just got it repeated to me that it's actually working. Okay, it's actually on track to be working for the weekend. Okay, and also what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks, once the Bluehost and everything is there, we will start to do some new webinars as well. Now we recently, just last month, did a whole week of webinars. We did webinars from Monday to Friday. I think we did 5 webinars between Monday and Friday. We went through some strategy stuff. I'm still getting a lot of the same questions being asked that was covered in those webinars. Okay, so what I want to do is a couple of webinars, extra webinars, where we can talk about things about strategy, where we can talk about things like ranking, where we can talk about things like keyword sniping, which is going to be a keyword that you hear, or it's going to be a phrase that you hear, sorry, over and over again going forward from me anyway, keyword sniping. Because, you know, I've got some people saying to me, hi, I'm not getting any traffic. And when I look at the domains when I'm using SEPworks, for example, just taking a quick look, you can see they've got rankings, but they're ranking on page 3 or page 4. So we need to do some keyword sniping so that we can nudge the high traffic keywords, okay, into page 1. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that in that training. The software is doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, sometimes, you know, with these kind of keyword phrases, we need to do a little bit extra once we identify those keyword phrases, and it's not difficult, it's not hard, and it won't take a huge amount of time to do it either. Okay, so we'll cover that in some further training that we'll do once we have the Bluehost. I'm waiting for the Bluehost before we do that. Okay, so actually, before we go further, if you hear background noise here, there's people are building a house like just right behind us, so sometimes there's some background noise. I might not hear it at times because I've got used to it by now, but if it's there in the background and kind of annoying, just try and block it out. There's nothing I can do about it unless I delay doing the videos even more, which I don't want to do. So anyway, let's start with these listing settings since we're on this page here. Okay, so these listing settings we actually set up quite a few weeks ago, a few months ago actually. And what we can do here is we can decide if we want to use the images from the Google Places API. Okay, you can choose here do not include the images. Okay, and we can also choose do not include the maps. Okay, now why would we do that? Well, first of all, we cut down the API costs. Okay, it means there's going to be less data on that particular page. You won't have an embedded map, but it's going to be a lot cheaper. But what we can do now instead is we can put in a video, and we can put in an image, and we can rotate between those videos and images so that you never have the same combination on the pages depending on how many videos and images you've put in there. So for example, if I've got one image and 10 videos, then it would take until the 11th post before I had that same combination again. Okay, if I've got 10 videos and 10 videos, 10 videos and 10 images, then it's going to take 101 pages before I get the same combination. Okay, so what we can do now is we can insert those instead as an option. Now if you take a step back and look at what the actual Local Biz Alpha strategy is actually achieving, it's getting thousands of keyword rankings, but those keyword phrases are typically business names and brand names. Okay, we can get the same results without using maps. We can get the same results without using images taken from the Google API for that particular business. We don't need either of those to be able to do that, okay? Because we have still got the title is going to be the same. We have still got the on-page SEO still going to be the same, just with the text and telephone number and address and all that kind of stuff. We can still get the same rankings. What we should do instead is focus on keeping people on site for longer, because if we don't, we're going to see a decrease in rankings because people are getting the information that they want very, very quickly, and then they are leaving. That's the challenge that we got right now, okay, that I can see anyway. And I've got some ideas that we can cover some of that in some webinars as well. So if you get any ideas on that too, please let me know. Okay, so anyway, this I think we can set up so that we do not include images. We can, not show maps. It's entirely up to you, but it will reduce your API cost significantly, okay? Now, what we can do next is we can go and have a look at the diagnostics tool, what it is and what it does. So I've just finished running the diagnostics in here, and you can see that it's processed 100%, 15,472 listings. Okay, now, where it's saying here it's fixed, what it's actually done is just checked that all the listings were done, that it didn't stall. So I asked my coder, what exactly is this doing? What exactly is the diagnostics tool doing? He says the diagnostics tool works in all campaigns, whether it's an old campaign or a new campaign. It goes through the campaigns that have stalled and resets so they can be re-queued. Okay, so that means that they can be run again, and that way we get the full campaign. So even if it's stalling, it can pick up where it left off and it can finish the campaigns. That is a major issue that we faced before, because for some reason it was stalling. This was the solution. So the diagnostics tool will fix that, okay? We've done some other stuff in the background as well, but if it does stall, this is what we do. Now the next thing is in here in the business listings. You will see here, we can see the Google API costs at the top. Now I've been running on this domain multiple campaigns, taking the site down, rebuilding the site up, and putting those campaigns back again and again and again. I've got current Google API costs for this domain. This is for this domain, okay, of $94. Okay, so that needs to be reduced. We don't want to have those kind of costs. The way to reduce it is when we go to generate a new listing, because now what happens when we go to generate a new listing, we can come down and we can now insert images, and we can now insert videos. So if, say for example, I've got some car insurance or something like that, I can do car insurance and do my search with images, and you can see all these images show up. Now if I want to use these images, all I need to do hold on a second, there's something missing here. We should have a button to insert the images. Let me just try that one more time. I think maybe it's just my computer's using a lot of resources. Actually, it works if you just click on them one by one. We used to have that you could click on multiple. Now have a look in the background here. As I'm doing this, you can see here the images, you can see these URLs being added in here. When I click on that, a new one gets added. Okay, so this is probably better, because if you clicked on select all, then you got some file not found here that Flickr must have taken some images away. So we don't need huge amounts of these. All we're doing it for is some rotation, and you can take the ones that you want, etc, etc, and then you can go into the next page as well, and each time you click on one of these, it's going to automatically add the image URL that will be used in here. Now the same thing for the videos. You can click on search YouTube for videos. You can put in here car insurance, for example, and again we should have a select all in here. I'll get the select all added in the next, hopefully the next few hours, because it's really kind of important that we get that. Time saver. Okay, and just click like that, and you can see it pre-populates in here, or it populates in here those URLs. Okay, so what it will do then is it will rotate between the image and the videos. Okay, that way there's never going to be the same combination. It's going to take that first image with the first video, the first image with the second video, first image with the third video, so there's different combinations. Once all that's gone round in a circle, okay, then it will take the second image with the first video, second image with second video, etc, etc. So there's always a unique combination in there. Okay. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at is the number of listings per location. Now, you know, the more I think about this, the more it's making sense that we focus on sort of highly populated areas. Okay, so for example, Texas, I think, had something like 1,800 different locations. Florida had something like 1,500, or New York had 1,500, Florida 900 and something. A lot of those locations, there's just not enough search volume to justify the cost of the API. Okay, so it's better if we focus on higher populated areas. So it would make perfect sense, for example, if I'm using the largest cities in Florida for my location here for car insurance or auto insurance, if that's what I want to run my campaign about. Okay, because if I'm going to do that, then I can choose 60 businesses, and knowing that I'm going to be ranking for the most important ones. Okay, I don't need to be pulling in the same businesses again and again that cover different areas, because sometimes they would have been pulled in multiple times depending on where they had listed themselves. Okay, there's not a lot you can do about that, because if they list themselves in 3 or 4 different areas with the same address, the software is still going to pull it in. Okay, so if we focus on sort of one major city at a time, we're going to have a much better result. At the same time, we can minimize our API costs, together with the images and the videos being shown in here, so that we've got unique combinations. We will still rank for those business names. Okay, so the key for us is really, how do we maintain, how do we keep people on the site, how do we monetize them, how do we get them to take a call to action, how do we get them to do something that we want them to do, whether it's to click to call to get a quote, or whether it's to submit an email address, or whatever it is. That's what we need to focus on. Okay, so the higher populated areas is going to be easier for us, because we can have less pages focused on things that are most likely to get some search volume. Okay, post type, I suggest now that we use pages. Okay, I suggest that we use pages, because I think that these sites are going to need some kind of video auto blogging. Okay, video auto blogging can be done very significantly as well. What we can do with this is we can take speech to text technology. Okay, speech to text technology, where, you know, we're using software, we're using technology that can read what people are saying. They can turn what people are saying into text from those videos. That way we've got some unique content that nobody else has got, probably. Okay, because a lot of people like me just talking in the videos where there isn't a script. Okay, so they're just following along, so there's no actual text variation of that. So what will happen then is you're getting unique content, and that way you can run a blog. So if you're making your business directory on Pages, then you can keep your posts for your blog. Okay, that way it doesn't get mixed up. And also, that means it's very easy to keep your business directory away from the navigation, so that when people come into your site, they actually see a blog if they're coming into the home page, where you can do some splash screens, etc. And then your business directory is still there in the background, still driving traffic, getting rankings, and from there we can do some keyword sniping. Now, the other thing about doing the auto blogging is that we can go and rank for a whole bunch of keywords as well. With that can bring in a lot of traffic as well. Okay, so multiple things that we can do. So this is what I suggest now. Always add the no follow link, always add a link to the parent. In here, I wouldn't go too mad with, you know, what we're using here for the anchor text, simply because we're not doing that many of them. Okay, if for example I'm linking to with the permalink, okay, with the URL to a parent page, it's always going to be different, okay, for every location that we do here, okay, for every campaign that we do, sorry. And here, if I'm putting the name of the listing, it's always going to be different as well for each campaign. So you can add an extra 3 or 4 if you want to for your anchor text kind of thing. I would just not overly complicate it, is what I'm trying to say. And this area here, I'm personally not using it, okay. The only thing you could really use this for is put some advertising in there or something like that, or if you want to make a featured business, then you can do it kind of semi-manually in here, where you can put in a banner or something with a sort of click to call kind of offer, or put a click to call kind of button in there somehow. You could do it that way, but the reason I don't want to use this is because we've got plugins that we can use. We've got plugins like Ad Inserter or Quick AdSense plugins that we can put in some ads that will show in different parts of the site, in different parts of the pages, according to what you've told to do within the settings. So for example, you can say in the settings of Quick AdSense, put an ad after the 3rd paragraph, put an ad at the top, put an ad at the bottom. Okay, so it's always going to be the same every single time. It will just break up your page so that it can put that ad, and then your page carries on after the ad. Okay, we also got the option of using the Sumo plugin, the Sumo Me plugin, where we have the full page splash screen, where we have the slide and sort of pop-up banners, etc., or the calls to actions, I should say. There's a whole bunch of those kind of plugins that we can use. Sumo one is good enough for what we want to use, and it gives us the ability that we can go and, you know, put in even more calls to action within our pages. We don't really need more than that, in my opinion. Okay, we just got to learn how to use it well enough that we can keep the people on the site so that we get them to take an action that we want them to take. Okay, so that way we can maintain our rankings as well. If we can keep them on the site just that little bit longer, we will maintain our rankings as well. So the challenges really are get the cost of the API down. We've managed to do that, I think, with what we have added in here. We won't know until we probably test it, and probably won't know for, you know, a couple of weeks at least. We've managed to prevent any campaigns from stalling. We will have Bluehost. If the information I was given this morning is correct, we will have Bluehost by the weekend. I'm recording this, today is Thursday. Okay, so I will keep pushing for that over the next couple of days. I will keep reminding him I need Bluehost by Sunday kind of thing. Let's see if we can get it. If we've got that, then we cut down any sort of doubts about the cost with DigitalOcean. I will keep DigitalOcean in there because some people want to do PBN stuff. You can do that with the $5 per month, $5 per month service that they provide. Droplets is the word I was looking for. Okay, so we can know the cost when we're using those $5 per month droplets or services as they really are. Okay, for PBN stuff. But for this kind of stuff, if you want to use Bluehost, then it's going to be easier because we will have less images and being pulled from the API, and also we won't be using the maps if you choose that in the settings. If you want to use the maps, it's entirely up to you. Okay, it's your choice. Okay, so I think we've covered what we needed to cover here, and let me just check everything I had listed here that I have gone through it. So the diagnostics tool, we can prevent campaigns stopping. We can just reboot them, okay, and it will kick off from where it left off. Okay, the image and video insertion means that we can put some multimedia, and it's unique multimedia in every single page. Okay, that we will add a select all button in here so that it's going to be easier, especially for the videos. It won't work with the images so well. You're better to do your images choosing a few at a time depending on the niche. Okay, but for videos you can more or less just choose all that's on a page, and you can run, you know, hundreds of different videos depending on the niche. Insurance kind of videos, you're going to find maybe 200, 300, 400 on YouTube that you can use and just insert it. It just gives us that multimedia. Okay, listing settings was already there. Now it makes sense that we can use that because we've got the image and video insertion that we can use. That means we can take away these business images and we can take away those maps if you choose. It's still there if you want to use it. It's entirely up to you. Personally, I don't think it's needed because I think if we're ranking for the brand names and the business names, we can do exactly that without those, okay? Because most of that is probably coming from the on-page SEO. We've got the business name in the title, we've got some H tags, we've got that kind of thing going on, okay? So we probably don't need that. Bluehost is on track for this weekend so that we can have hosting. Ideally, you can take a reseller account. It costs $17 a month and you can put like 50 sites on there. Let's see what happens. But with the reseller account, you can adjust how much resources you apply to any particular domain. Okay, so if you've got a domain that's breaking out and a lot of traffic, you can go into your reseller account and you can adjust the resources that you assign to that particular site. Okay, that's why it's important to use a reseller account, because you've got complete control. Okay, from that point of view, you can upgrade your reseller account at any time as well to add extra resources. If you're adding extra resources, it's because you're getting traffic. So the key is, how do we monetize the traffic? Okay, so that's basically where we are. And we will do some new webinars once we have the Bluehost in there as well. Okay, so things are looking good. Let's hope we can get the Bluehost in. Once we've got that in, we can go and do some extra things as well. For those that have been asking if we're doing this sort of Enigma version, as I called it, the agency version, as I called it, where we can do like 1 million posts at a time. Yes, we will do it, but it's going to be very, very limited, okay? And I'm not going to sell it to just anybody. You will need to apply for it, and you will need to confirm to me that you understand that there might be some, extensive API costs if you're doing million-page sites. Okay, I can get the technology to work to do what it's supposed to do, but you need to acknowledge up front that you understand there might be significant costs. And if you follow what we've added in here, you can see it's made sense that we've come to that point only after we have got the Bluehost done, only after we have put this image and video insertion in here as well. No, we're not finished yet. Even after that, we're not finished. But let's just get past that point so that we can take things further afterwards, and we can introduce, what's the next part of the roadmap for local biz alpha at that point. But yes, I will do an Enigma version. Very, very limited. You will have to apply to get it. You will have to confirm with me on a Skype personally or in a Discord group personally that you understand there might be API costs that could be quite significant if you're going to be doing millions of pages. Okay, otherwise you can come and complain to me afterwards and say, hey, that cost a lot of money. There's not a lot I can do if you didn't understand that to begin with. So you're going to have to tell me that at the beginning before I will let you buy that particular product. Okay, so that product, when it's done, will be done from web app and not a plugin. It needs to be done from web app so that we can control better the actual posting. If you're running millions of pages, millions of posts, then it needs to be controlled properly from a server and not from a WordPress plugin. So it's going to be a web app, that version. Okay, that may take another 2 or 3 weeks to build that particular version, but we will build it because I want to use it myself. Okay, so now that we have got this ability to reduce the API cost, it makes sense once we have got the Bluehost, which gives us the ability that we've got low cost hosting that we can go and adjust at any particular time for any domain, ourselves, without waiting for somebody else to do it for us. We can just go and do that. Then everything makes sense that we can do that Enigma version, and we will do that. Okay, thanks.